Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Pesach, in general, has many intricate laws. The laws of SHABBOS have many intricate laws. The laws of making blessings over food have many intricate laws. And it's appropriate that one review all of these various different sets of laws frequently. Now, the reality is, we're not always reviewing the laws of Shabbos every Shabbos, and we're not reviewing the laws of making blessings every day, because what happens is that we get into a routine and we kind of assume what we did the last time was the right way, and presumably that is, and then as questions arise, we ask, we learn new details, and we incorporate that into our next routine. Pesach is a little bit less frequent than Shabbos in making blessings every day. So it's more common that people will review the laws of Pesach before Pesach comes around. But even so, we rely to a large degree on how we've behaved in the year before, and we kind of do the same thing again, which is not ideal. It's obviously best to review the laws every year, but it's understandable. Now, when it comes to a year like this, whereas we're going to see all of these three sets of laws converge on each other. The laws of Pesach, the laws of Shabbos, and the laws of blessings all converge on each other. And we have to make sure that we're covering all three of them simultaneously. So this is definitely a year when a review is necessary to kind of refresh ourselves and understand all the halachas. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide this talk into three sections. The first is going to be starting Thursday night, or Thursday day, going all the way through the burning of the chametz on Friday. Then we'll go through after the burning of the chametz until Shabbos starts, preparing for Shabbos. And then the third section will be Shabbos itself. At the end of each section, I'll stop and open for questions. So please wait until the end of these sections for your questions. And it's very likely that the question will be answered by the time we get to the end of that section. And then at the end, after all of that, you can ask other questions related to Pesach in general. But while we take these breaks, I'll ask you just to keep the questions specifically to those three sections. So let's start with Thursday. Thursday is the fast of the firstborn. There's the law that all firstborn sons fast on EREV Pesach, on the day that precedes Pesach. And that fast is brought earlier to Thursday, not Friday, but to Thursday. Because unless the actual fast is on a day of EREV Yom Tov or EREV Shabbos, a day of pre-Shabbos or pre-Yom Tov, unless the fast is on that day, we don't like to fast on EREV Shabbos. So it's because it's being pushed back, it's pushed back even farther to Thursday. And the custom has become that people hear a siyum, people will join in the concluding of a tractate, which is a kind of celebration that allows one to break this fast of the firstborn. And therefore, God willing, on Thursday morning, Shachris and MTC is at 7, followed by a siyum, this celebration, and will be on Zoom as well, not on this channel, but on the MTC channel. So the mtc.com/Zoom at 8 o'clock, God willing, on Thursday morning, we'll have the siyum. And if one does not hear a siyum, well, first of all, by the way, the custom of fasting is for firstborn, but if one themselves is not a firstborn, but they have a son who's a firstborn, and that son is not bar mitzvah yet, then the custom applies to them too, which would include myself. I'm not a firstborn, but my son is, so we'll be part of the siyum on Thursday. If one needs to fast on Thursday, one can fast on Thursday, but not on Friday. And if one does fast on Thursday, then one can eat a little something before they do the search for the chametz that night on Thursday. Okay, so that's Thursday morning. The fast of the firstborn, and the siyum is on Thursday. Because, of course, it's a fast, make sure you don't drink your coffee before you hear the siyum, if you're firstborn and you're going to be part of that siyum. Okay, then comes Thursday night. Thursday night, of course, is the search for the chametz. The search for the chametz is the same thing as it is every single year, even though it's a day earlier. Usually it's the night before Pesach, and this year it's going to be 2 nights before Pesach. The halacha is that the search should include a candle, and of course you don't handle candles on Shabbos, and candles are best used at night. This is what our sages say, so we search on Thursday night. The search is as usual. that is to say full bracha, and the custom of putting out 10 pieces and finding, etc. And I should note now, we had a class on this earlier, but I should note this is a common mistake. People assume the search for the chametz is to find the 10 pieces. The 10 pieces is a custom. The search for the chametz is just that. You're meant to search your home to make sure there's no more chametz left in your home. Now, this year, of course, is tricky because you're going to be leaving chametz in your home. Every year, right, the night before Pesach, you search your home for chametz. And you leave behind some chametz. You leave behind 10 pieces of bread that you're going to be burning the next day. As well, you might leave something behind for breakfast the next morning. And that is all fine and good. This year, you're going to be leaving behind even more. And you're going to be leaving behind for Shabbos as well. So before you start your search, because the whole point of the search is to make sure your home is clean of chametz on Thursday night, so whatever chametz you're going to be using for Friday and Shabbos, and God willing, as the class progresses, we'll talk about exactly what you should leave behind and how much you can leave behind for Shabbos and Friday. But whatever you're leaving behind, make sure, meaning whatever's not part of your search, make sure it's put in a secure place that's not going to leave crumbs and undermine your entire search. The whole point of the search is that after the search is done, I've identified all chametz you're keeping, you know where it is, and the rest of your home is chametz free. So make sure it stays that way. Whatever chametz you are keeping for Friday and Shabbos, put it aside in a safe, secure place so it doesn't undermine and ruin your search. At the end of the search, you make a declaration that renders chametz ownerless. I'm going to pull up the text on the screen here so that we understand what it is we are saying, because it's actually important that you understand what you're saying. It's not like prayer or tehillim, which can be read in Hebrew, even if a person doesn't understand. In fact, the original text of the declaration is not even in Hebrew, it's in Aramaic. And the reason it's in Aramaic is because that was the common tongue, that was the common language of the people who spoke then. So they put it in Aramaic. So you should then read it in English. If you want to keep to the original script, you can do in the Aramaic and English, but definitely should read it in English so that you understand what you are saying. Because again, like I said, it's not like a tehillim or a prayer where you're just kind of saying holy words. You're actually making a legal declaration. And here's the text in Hebrew. You can see my pointer. It's right here, this one. And in English, you can see it right here. So this is the blessing you make before you search. This is the description of the search. And here it says, all leaven and anything leavened that is in my possession, which I've neither seen nor removed, and about which I am unaware, shall be considered nullified and ownerless as dust of the earth. So as you can see, the declaration here is anything I'm unaware of, anything that I've not seen, anything that I've not gotten rid of is rendered ownerless, which means there are stuff that I'm leaving behind that I am aware of, that I have seen, and that are not ownerless. Specifically, the 10 pieces of bread that I'm going to burn the next day, and whatever chametz I'm leaving behind for Shabbos and for Friday. That's certainly not ownerless because I plan on eating it tomorrow morning. So again, this declaration is to declare that all the chametz that I have not seen, anything that's left over from my search that I don't have anymore, that I am rendering ownerless. If I'm aware of it, then the declaration doesn't really work. Now, Friday the next day, of course, is not EREV Pesach. It's not the day before Pesach. The day before Pesach is Shabbos. But nonetheless, in many ways, Friday becomes the default EREV Pesach. And as much as we can, our sages instituted that we treat Friday the same way we would EREV Pesach on a regular year. Namely, the burning of the chametz is done Friday at the time that we would have done it if today was EREV Pesach. So explain what I mean. The prohibition to eat chametz starts on any year on the day before Pesach, EREV Pesach, at a certain time. This year, that certain time is going to be on Shabbos. And we'll get to that soon when we get to that part of this talk. Now, ordinarily on a regular year, when it's not Shabbos, you eat your chametz all the way till that time, you burn your chametz at that time, and then you're done. Then you're ready for Pesach. But this year, you're bringing forward the burning of the chametz, but you still have chametz left that's just going to go afterwards. So it makes it for like a unique kind of burning of the chametz. It's almost in some ways symbolic. You're burning the 10 pieces that you found the night before, and you're still leaving behind other chametz that you are willingly going to be eating for Shabbos, and later on, after the burning of the chametz. So the burning of the chametz, the time for it, the truth is that there are different opinions if it goes till midday or if it goes a little earlier. The Alter Rebbe seems to imply it goes till midday, but the Vada'ir put the paper out with the time at 11:43, so we're going to stick with that. And on the left side parking lot of MTC, between 9:30 and 11:15, there's going to be a fire there to burn your chametz. Don't bring silver foil. Don't bring plastic. Can't say this enough times. Don't bring plastic and don't bring silver foil. It doesn't burn. It doesn't do what you want to do. Just bring the chametz itself with the paper bag and the spoon and the candle and the feather that you use for your search, and bring that between 9:30 and 11:15 at the left parking lot for that. Now, after the burning of the chametz, ordinarily, there's a prayer we say, and we make another declaration. So as we saw, the declaration of rendering chametz ownerless from the night before, after the search, does not include all the chametz. It only includes chametz that I haven't seen and chametz that I don't know about. Now, the declaration that we make after we burn the chametz the next day includes the chametz I know about. Because at that point, on a regular year, I'm getting rid of all my chametz at this point. And therefore, I'm going to render all chametz ownerless. As we can see in the text here, just so we understand, again, it's not a prayer, it's a declaration. And therefore, it's important that we know it in English. And here's the declaration that we would make after we burn the chametz on a regular year. All leaven, anything leavened that is in my possession, whether I've seen it or not, whether I have observed it or not, whether I have removed it or not. See, in the previous one, not before we said, which I have neither seen nor removed and about which I'm unaware. Whereas the next day we say, everything. If I observed it, not observed it, removed it, not observed it, all of it shall be considered nullified and ownerless as dust of the earth. Now, of course, on Friday this year, you cannot make this declaration because there's chametz that you're not rendering ownerless because you're going to be eating later on Shabbos. So the declaration of rendering chametz ownerless that's usually made when we burn the chametz is not to be said this year. However, there is another paragraph, this paragraph right here. In the Hebrew, it's the Yehi Ratzon. And here in English, it's the Yehi Ratzon. Now this, as you can see, is a kind of prayer. It's about how, in the same way we remove the chametz, we remove our evil inclination from us, and grant us a heart of flesh to serve you in truth. As you can see, it's more of a prayer. This, it was the Rebbe's practice during the 2 years that Pesach, EREV Pesach was on Shabbos, and the Rebbe was Rebbe. The Rebbe did say this Yehi Ratzon on Friday. So this Yehi Ratzon, this prayer, is to be said on Friday when we burn the chametz, because that's a prayer, not a legal declaration about making the chametz ownerless. Whereas this declaration, where we render all chametz ownerless, is not to be said on Friday, because again, you're keeping some of your chametz. This would be a false statement if you were to say now on Friday that you're rendering all chametz ownerless while you're still keeping some challah for Shabbos. That would be a false statement. And therefore, this statement is not said on Friday, and it's reserved, and we wait for Shabbos to say that statement, which, God willing, when we get to that part of this talk, we will talk about that. Okay, so that's so far as Thursday going till Friday. This is part one, going from Thursday till Friday, burning of the chametz. If there's any questions about this part of the proceeding, please unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, we'll go forward to the next part. Okay, I guess it's clear. Okay, so now we get a little more dicey.
Rabbi,
I'm sorry, someone want to ask something? I think I cut somebody off.
yeah, I have a question regarding the fasting. Can
Yeah.
I drink, and how many hours fastings go?
So again, the fast is only for someone who's the firstborn, and it's on Thursday, which means if you're the oldest son and if you're the oldest child in your family, and a way of getting out of the fast is to join the celebration of the concluding of a tractate, which we will observe Thursday morning on Zoom at 8 o'clock. So if you join the MTC Zoom at 8 o'clock and you hear the concluding of a tractate, then you don't have to fast. But otherwise, you would fast all the way till nightfall when we search for the chametz.
And I cannot drink. It's just dry fasting.
It's a full fast, no drink, no food. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. The simple solution again is to join the Siyum celebration, the celebration of concluding a tractate. Okay, so now the chametz is burnt, and now the question is, what am I leaving behind? What am I leaving behind for Shabbos, and what am I eating Friday afternoon, and so on? Now this becomes very complicated and very dicey, and the reason I'm saying this is because it all depends on how the particular rabbi you are selling your chametz with does exactly that, sells the chametz. Let me explain. There's a command to rid our home of chametz. That's a command. It's one of their obligations is to rid our home of chametz. This is done in a number of ways. The primary way in which we rid ourselves of chametz nowadays is by selling the chametz. That's how we get rid of the chametz. We no longer own it because we sold it to somebody else. Now, whatever time this sale happens, any chametz that was not part of the sale, right? I didn't put it away in those cabinets to be sold. Because it's not part of the sale, I cannot rely on the sale to make that chametz not mine. I have to rid myself of that chametz in some other way. Now, however you're going to cut it, at least for most people, most rabbis, the sale of the chametz will happen on Friday, which means whatever you're leaving over on Shabbos, and whatever you don't eat, that chametz still belongs to you. And putting it into the cabinet where the chametz is being sold may not cover it, because that stuff is already sold and the sale has been done already yesterday. So whatever you're leaving behind and whatever you don't eat will have to be actually destroyed. Now, when I say actually destroyed, I don't mean throw it in the garbage, because throwing it in the garbage is still in your property and you still own it, and it's still in violation of the command to rid your home of chametz. Getting rid of it means quite literally getting rid of it. If there's an EREV, it's a place where you can carry on Shabbos. You can throw it onto the street, or you literally break it up into pieces and flush it down the toilet, in which case it's actually legit destroyed. There are other ways of destroying it, like preparing bleach before, but that's unnecessary hassle. But you have to destroy that chametz. You cannot rely on the sale anymore because the sale has been done. Now, depending on how each rabbi words the sale, it changes exactly when the sale takes effect and exactly which chametz is included and isn't included. So I spoke to, of course, the rabbi here, and I spoke to Rabbi Bell and the local rabbanim and how it's done over here. And essentially, the sale takes effect on Friday morning. Friday morning, in the same way every single year, the sale takes effect on EREV Pesach in the morning before the time of burning the chametz. The same thing is going to happen this year. The sale will take effect on Friday morning with the burning of the chametz, which means effectively your home should be completely Pesachdik on Friday morning. Ideally, even the night before when you were searching your house for chametz. But certainly the next day, on Friday, by burning of the chametz time, your house is already completely in Pesach mode. Now, whatever chametz you're going to leave behind, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, of what chametz you need to leave behind for Shabbos, you have to make sure it's a minimal amount so that you not end up with rows of cookies that start flushing down the toilet on Shabbos morning. That's not something you want to be doing. So you have to make sure that it's minimal amount of chametz. This isn't 100%, 99% clear, but it's implied from the Alter Rebbe that he is of the opinion that we shouldn't have anything other than what you need for Shabbos, other than what you need for the actual Shabbos meals, Friday night and Shabbos day, which would mean Friday afternoon, you're eating a regular Pesach meal. Now, here's the interesting thing, and it all depends on the circumstances of your kitchen and whether you have two kitchens or one kitchen. And but in theory, let's just say, after the sale of the chametz happens on Friday, you're no longer allowed to eat any. No longer allowed to. You can still eat chametz, right? You're allowed to eat chametz, but whatever chametz is left over is not going to be part of the sale, and you have to get rid of it. But there's no reason, for example, why you can't eat rice. For those who are Ashkenazim and ordinarily on Pesach don't eat kitniyot, on Friday afternoon you could, especially if you need to feed your children and you can't, and it's hard to give them food. You can give them rice for sure. The same thing is true of gebrachts. For those who don't have gebrachts on Pesach, you can have that on Friday. Same thing is true of people who don't eat stuff that is like mass-produced. There are those who only eat homemade things on Pesach. On Friday, there's no reason to do that. You can eat homemade stuff, kosher Pesach stuff that you buy in the store. So there's plenty that you can eat on Friday without having to worry. But it should not be chametz ideally. It shouldn't be any chametz. Because whatever chametz you leave behind, again, you're going to run into a whole bunch of problems of trying to flush it down the toilet later. You forgot about it. You didn't remember where you put it. You don't want to do that. You want to have minimal amount of chametz as possible, which means just enough for the Shabbos meal. That's what you should be doing. If now, the reason why I said depends on how your kitchen is, because if you're going to decide to eat rice on Friday afternoon and your kitchen's already koshered for Pesach, then where exactly are you getting your rice from? You can't exactly cook your rice in your kitchen because your kitchen is Pesach. So it may work for you if you happen to have rice left over from somewhere, or if you buy kitchen from the store that's fresh made, you don't have to use your pots for, then you can throw that out. That's not the kind of stuff you have to flush down the toilet, because it's not actual chametz that you can throw in the garbage when you're done before Pesach starts. But again, it depends on the circumstances of your kitchen. And when you kosher it, you have two kitchens, one kitchen. If you have two kitchens, certainly it's easier. You can cook rice and clean out the pot and put it away before Shabbos, and then switch over to your Pesach kitchen for Shabbos. Now, if all of this still doesn't work for you, and for whatever reason you think you still need to be eating chametz, I don't want to address it here, but if your circumstances happen to be such, please call me and we'll discuss exactly how you'll go about that. And I'm specifically not doing it publicly because it depends on the circumstance, it depends on the situation, and it's very difficult to avoid the issues that come along with eating chametz wantonly on Friday, although in theory you're allowed to, because again, you already sold your chametz and you're relying on the sale of chametz primarily as your way of getting rid of your home of chametz. And therefore you don't want to have chametz left over post-sale time. And therefore, what should you leave behind? You should leave behind just enough to have for 2 Shabbos meals if you're Chabad persuasion, but for those who have the Sudash Lishit, those who eat 3 meals should have enough for 3 meals. It's the volume of an egg per person in the household. That's what it is, essentially. Recommendation: use pita, because pitas don't crumble, don't make crumbs. And if you start cutting up challah, and you're trying to avoid making crumbs, it's gonna be a disaster. It's not gonna work out for you very well. Recommended to have 2, 3 pitas, whatever is necessary. Well, you need at least 3 because you have to have lechem mishnah Friday night and Shabbos day. Have a few pitas together, and whatever's left, enough for each person to have a little bit at the 2 Shabbos meals or the 3 Shabbos meals, and then whatever's left, as we'll discuss soon, will be flushed down the toilet. Now, considering all of this, it's clear that all of your Shabbos meals are going to be completely Pesachdik. Your Friday night, your Shabbos meal is all going to be Pesachdik. Just an interesting little tidbit. In 74, I believe it was one of the years that EREV Pesach was on Shabbos. And there was somebody who published an English booklet with like a outline of the laws of this unique circumstance. And the Rabbi reviewed it and edited it. Now, unfortunately, I could not get a hold of that actual booklet. But I saw a Hebrew write-up where someone mentioned that when they describe that you should it's recommended that you should prepare all your food for Shabbos as Pesach food, they were putting question marks, kugel. Like, how come you didn't mention that you should make a Pesach kugel? As if they ever wanted people to know that you can have your kugel, just make sure it's a Pesach one. So just throwing that out there. The point is a full Shabbos meal, but all Pesach recommended. In theory, a person could be using their non-Pesach dishes, but it's very complicated. It becomes very problematic with cleaning it and putting it away, post-sale, pre-sale, and what you cook, what you don't cook. So it's recommended, and this is what pretty much everybody's going to be doing, is making a kosher Pesach Shabbos, with the exception of the pitas or whatever you're going to be using for your challah Friday night and Shabbos day, or for the third meal. Before we conclude this section and open up for questions, just a couple of things you have to prepare on Friday afternoon, because you have a 3-day Yom Tif, right? And it's not just a 3-day Yom Tif, right? Shabbos and then 2 days Yom Tif, but Matzah Shabbos, Saturday night is your seder. And of course, the halacha is one may not prepare from Shabbos to Yom Tif, which means whatever you can do for your seder on Friday, do so. So I just have a couple of things I jotted down. The first is you have to make sure to light a 3-day candle, so you can light your Yom Tif candles on Matzah Shabbos. You should prepare the grain before the bitter herbs, and make sure it's covered, because if you uncover it, it's going to lose its sharpness and it's going to become like kind of stale. Your zroya, your shank bone, your charoset, even your salt water, prepare before if you can. Boil the eggs, your lettuce, washing the lettuce, cleaning the lettuce, and so on. All of that, whatever you can do on Friday, do on Friday rather than waiting till Motzei Shabbos. Because if you wait till Motzei Shabbos, it becomes very difficult. First of all, you delay your seder unnecessarily. And also, depending on what type of item you're doing, You may have to do some changes to how you prepare it because it's on Yom Tov. You may also have to minimize the amount you're preparing because you're not to prepare extra. It becomes very complicated. So whatever your seder preparations are, make that list for Friday and get it done on Friday rather than waiting till after Shabbos is over. Okay, so that's so far as Friday afternoon goes after the burning of the chametz until Shabbos starts. Any questions at this point before we get to actual Shabbos? Somebody asked in the comments about why don't the rabbis sell the chametz close to Shkia? In some places they do, some places they don't. There's virtues to this way, there's virtues to that way. Every type of sale has its virtue and its plus and its minus. Here in Montreal, it's being sold on time. Other places they sell it later, but it becomes also problematic too. Any other questions before we go to the next section discussing Shabbos itself? Okay, so Shabbos itself. When it comes to the meal of Shabbos, so you have your Pesach meal, and you also have your chametz. You have your chametz you're going to be eating for your challah for Friday night and Shabbos day. Now, it's preferable that you use disposable dishes rather than using your Pesach dishes and running the risk of some of the chametz getting onto them and whatnot, especially if you're going to be, you just have chametz in your mouth and you take a fork to eat something else, and then that fork picks up some of the chametz. You don't want that. So it's definitely preferable to use disposable dishes, but not 100% necessary. So let's just explain what happens. Let's start with Friday night. So I mentioned in the introduction that there are a number of different groups of laws, all of which are intricate and detailed, and they all converge now on this Shabbos. There are 3 sets of laws specifically I mentioned: the laws of Pesach, the laws of Shabbos, and the laws of blessings. So you're going to have, and there's actually the laws of Kiddush too. So you have 4 things that come together at this meal. Number 1, this is a halacha that applies to every Shabbos. Kiddush is to be made in the place where you're eating your meal, which is why, if you've ever noticed Rabbi making Kiddush in Shul Shabbos afternoon after Musaf, you'll notice, first of all, he opens the door to the Kiddush hall, so that it kind of extends, and you'll also notice that he sits down right away and has a little something. He has a little mezainis. It's because of this halacha, because you have to make Kiddush in the place where you eat. That's the first law we have to keep in mind. The second law we have to keep in mind is that ideally, your Shabbos meal is also in the same location where your Shabbos candles are. Or at least, the very least, be able to see your Shabbos candles from the place where you're making Kiddush and eating your Shabbos meal. Number 3 is, the place where you eat has to be the same place where you do the grace after meals. It's another halacha we have to keep in mind. And then, of course, you have the most of the wrench, that those halachas apply every Shabbos. But the wrench in all of this is you want to keep your chametz and your Pesach food separate while you're trying to maintain all these other halachas which tell you to be in the same place. So what do you do? So there are a number of different solutions. There are many that will want to eat the challah in a different room. So let's say they're going to be keeping Pesach in their dining room. That's where they'll have their seders. So they don't want to have their Shabbos meal in the dining room also, because there's crumbs going to get there and it makes it difficult, so they don't want to do that. They want to eat, let's say, in their kitchen. Right? But you have to keep in mind that if you're going to eat your chametz, let's say you're going to eat your challah, the pita, in the kitchen. So number 1, you have to make your kiddush there, because your kiddush has to be in the same place of your meal, and your meal, your halachic meal is the challah you're eating, or the pita you're eating. So you got to eat that there also. Now you have to make sure you can see your Shabbos candles from your kitchen. Now your Shabbos candles are not going to be in your kitchen because you want those Shabbos candles at your seder table also the next night. So if you can see from your kitchen to your Shabbos candles, then okay, you can do that. But you can see how this is running into a little bit of a problem. And likewise, where are you going to be eating your Pesach Shabbos meal? Right? The rest of your meal, except for the challah, is all Pesach. So you're going to go back to your dining room, and then you're going to go back to your kitchen to bench. So in theory, you could do that. In theory, you can do that. You can make kiddush in your kitchen. If you can see the candles from there, very good. You wash, eat your pita there, and then you go, you clean yourself off so that you don't have any chametz on you, go sit down at your dining room table, have your whole meal, and then go back to the kitchen to do the benching. That's one solution. A much more simple solution is to, if you're doing that anyway, if you're going to be separating between your kitchen and your dining room, a much better solution is to make kiddush in your kitchen, where you can see your Shabbos candles, wash, eat your pita / challah, bench, and that officially concludes your Shabbos meal. And then you go to the dining room and sit down for dinner, for chicken, meat, soup, whatever it is, and you make brachas as you would on a regular evening where you're eating these things for dinner. Make your shahakos, your mezainis, whatever, or not mezainis, you wouldn't have that, but hadama, pa'etz, whatever it is, whatever the brachas are you'd be making on that meal, you could do it ordinarily because you've already finished your Shabbos meal in the kitchen. That's another option, but again, only if you can see your candles from your kitchen. Now, if you can't do that, if you can't be in a separate place to make kiddush and eat your challah, and then go somewhere else to eat, then what you could do is, and you just have to be very, very careful about it, that's all. You eat the challah at your dining room table. Again, eat pita so it doesn't make any crumbs, and eat it in a napkin. And when you're done, take all the napkin with all the crumbs, the napkin, which is, you're only eating a tiny little bit. You're eating just enough, just the size of the volume of an egg. It's not a lot. You're just eating it to fulfill the obligation of having challah on Shabbos. So whatever's left, you'll keep for Shabbos morning, first of all, because you still have your meal Shabbos morning. And whatever's left, the crumbs that are left in your napkin, just flush it down the toilet. It's a very simple solution, and you keep on going your meal at your dining room table. Right? But again, in this last solution, it's an easy solution, but you have to be very careful to make sure that no chametz is getting on your table, and especially if you're going to be using Pesach dishes, you definitely want to be very, very careful if you're going to be eating chametz at that same table. So my recommendation is one of these two. Either you're going to be doing the kiddush, challah, and benching in your kitchen where you can see the Shabbos candles, and then go to have your full Shabbos meal at the dining room table. Or if that's not a possibility, you can't see the candles from your kitchen, then eat the challah at your Shabbos table, but do so before you bring any other food out. And then, if in that case, definitely you should use disposable dishes and disposable cutlery, so you don't end up ruining making those chametzik.
So I have a question.
Asked, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question with regards to the hamotzi. Normally, you do it on a full piece of pita, and depending on how many people, it has to be divided between 6 people. But the act of ripping up all this bread and passing it around, it becomes an issue because, I mean, if you rip something only once in half, okay, the potential for crumbs is limited. But when you have to keep breaking and breaking and breaking, so my question is, I know that the mitzvah is to be done on a whole piece and on 2 whole pieces together. I said, but in this instance, if you're eating in the dining room and you're doing it in a bag, on a napkin, whatever, is there another solution that we don't have to keep ripping and doing? And if not, so my next question is, if can I eat on my balcony where it's a glass door and I can see into the house?
Your balcony. You could do it on your balcony. Yeah. That's a good solution. If you can see the candles from your balcony, you can do it there.
Yeah, I can see everything. It's a glass, a full wall of glass.
Yeah, then you could do it in your balcony.
Outside.
There's another solution to that, to the whole challah, to the whole pitas.
My question was when the candles, if I may, changing floors. Shabbos, we're planning to be on the main floor, but we're shutting down Shabbos daytime and closing it, not using it anymore, moving downstairs. So Motzei Shabbos, move the candles downstairs for seder. The question is, can you move the candles? Motzei Shabbos. I think you could. Just if it's on a tray, just move it downstairs. That's the question. With a seder on it or whatever.
After Shabbos is over, if you can move the candles. Okay,
before I light it. Before my wife.
Yeah, obviously before you light them, but I have to double check on that. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer offhand. I'm gonna double check, and God willing, I'll let you know. Okay, somebody else has their hand up here. Want to ask a question? No? Okay. Let's move then to...
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Like, can we do the kiddush at the living room with the Shabbos candle?
Yeah.
And just motzi in the kitchen table and eat the meal there, or motzi also has to be like where there's the Shabbos candle?
Yeah. So the problem there is that the kiddush has to be the place where you eat your meal. See, the kiddush, Shabbos candles, and meal all have to be the same place, or at least to see the Shabbos candles, right?
Okay,
so the
I
kiddush
see.
has to be the same place where you eat the challah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Someone commented here that the amount for a size of an egg is about 100 grams, which is approximately a half of a pita. Okay? Or did I get that right? The correct share of the bear is approximately half pita, yeah? Okay, so now go to Shabbos morning. Now, Shabbos morning, of course, we're going to be davening very early. I think the rules are changing, and they're going to allow 25 per room, per entrance in the building. So we'll be able to accommodate 1 million, God willing, Shabbos morning, but very early, because in the same way on a regular Friday, on a regular EREV Pesach, on a regular time when you have the day before Pesach, you have the time when you have to stop eating chametz, and then the time when you have to burn the chametz. Now this year, again, you're not burning the chametz on Shabbos, obviously. You've done a symbolic burning on Friday, but you still have to get rid of the chametz before that time. Now again, most of the chametz you've gotten rid of by selling it on Friday, but whatever chametz is left over, you're not selling, and that you have to actually get rid of. So over here in Montreal, using the Vad De'ir's number, at 10:26 is when you have to finish eating your chametz, which means you have to be done Shabbos in the morning, you have to be done Shachris, Kriyas HaTorah, all of davening got to be done with enough time that you can go home, make kiddush, wash, and have that pita before 10:26 in the morning. Now, after you finish, so over here, you have the same issues you had Friday night, but you saved one major issue, which is the candle issue, making it much, much easier. You don't have to see any candles because there are no candles Shabbos morning. So you can just make kiddush in your kitchen or make kiddush in your garage if you want to, and eat your pita there, finish your pita, bench, dust yourself off, and then go upstairs and eat lunch at your leisure time whenever you feel like it, right? Because it's quite early in the morning. So 10:26 is when we have to finish eating chametz. And then by 11:42, one has to have rid themselves of chametz. And the way we're going to rid ourselves of chametz is by two things. Number one, any leftover pita and the napkin you ate the pita in, again, not in the garbage. Garbage does not count as destroying it, because garbage is still in your property. Destroying it is tear it up and flush it down your toilet. Do it in a few times if you don't want to get an extra bill to the plumber. And also, again, which tells you not to leave too much, to leave really just as much as you need for Shabbos. Don't leave any extras because it's just going to make it more difficult for you. But by 11:42, all that has to be cleaned. So you have to clean out your teeth from every chametz, all the chametz that's left there. Make sure there's nothing on your clothing, any of the chametz that might have got there from the pita that you were eating earlier, any of the extra pita, flush down the toilet. And now it's much, much easier. You just kiddush, eat that pita wherever you want, in your balcony, in your kitchen or your garage, wherever you feel safest, and then bench before 10:26 and get rid of all the chametz. Destroy it, throw it down the toilet. That's the first way we're going to get rid of our chametz. The second way, in which we're going to get rid of all the chametz is by now we're going to make that declaration. The declaration that we did not make yesterday, on Friday that is, when we burned the chametz, because as I mentioned, the declaration there describes that we're getting rid of we're rendering ownerless any chametz, even if we know about it, right? Now, on Friday, that would have been a false statement because we want to keep certain chametz for Shabbos. But now, it's not a false statement anymore because we are indeed ridding ourselves of any chametz now. And now is when we say this paragraph. Everybody should say it, men, women, children, why not also? And again, say it in English. And if you want to, you could say it in the original Aramaic. But of course, it's much more important that we understand what we're saying because it's not a prayer. It's a legal declaration in which you are declaring that all chametz, whether I've seen it or not seen it, whether I observed it or not, whether I've removed it or not, should be considered nullified and ownerless as the dust of the earth. If I don't understand what I'm saying, then the statement doesn't mean anything. So it's important that on Shabbos morning before 11:42, all chametz, we get rid of all chametz, cleaning out our teeth, clothing, flushing down the toilet, and then making this declaration. And then after that, you can enjoy your Shabbos lunch whenever you want, really. But just obviously no chametz and no matzah. I'm sorry, no chametz and no matzah, but a Pesach meal. For those who have shal shuddus, there are different ways of doing it, and one of them is, the most common of it is to make kiddush, wash, have some of your pita, bench, take a half an hour break, do a lap around the block if you want to during that half an hour, and then wash again, all before 10:26. So if you have a shal shuddus on Shabbos, you got to wake up definitely a little earlier than usual. Okay, then for the rest of Shabbos, all of the customs that we have not to eat anything that's on the seder plate on the day before Pesach, that applies to Shabbos as well. So apples, nuts, all of that kind of stuff we don't eat on Shabbos day, as well as not drinking too much wine. It says that as well. And then finally, we'll have an early mincha, because after mincha, we have to say the part of the Haggadah, because it's Shabbos before Pesach, and the Shabbos before Pesach, we always say part of the Haggadah. And then we also have to say the description of the Pesach offering, all to be done before Shkia, before sundown. So we'll have a early mincha as well. Okay, so that covers all of our preparations till Pesach. If there are any other questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, I have a question about,
Sure.
So like in terms of food, like you said, there's a custom not to eat all that's on a seder plate, but I mean, we tend to have potato on ours.
You can eat potato,
so I can eat potato, and I mean, a Shabbos lunch is very limited for on Shabbos. At Pesach, you have meat and potatoes, and you probably will have a salad. So like now, so you can't have salad. I mean,
you can have a salad.
It's Shabbos lunch. It's like when it's not Shabbos, so you can get away and do other things. But for a whole Shabbos meal to not have,
it's going to be it's really heavy on meat, potatoes, chicken, vegetables, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Rabbi, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you live in an apartment, you throw out your chametz through the garbage chute from the building, so it's not in your particular place?
Better not, because you still because you still have ownership of part of it.
Okay. Thank you.
The only other option besides for toilet is if you're in a place where there's an EREV, you can throw it onto the street. But that's not like a nice thing to do. Right.
Another question.
Yeah.
Normally, before you're not allowed to have chametz anymore, you would brush your teeth right before.
Yeah.
On Shabbos, if you're not supposed to necessarily brush your teeth, is there something else you should be doing, or it's just? Okay, so people have different opinions about brushing teeth on Shabbos, and I once gave a class on that. It's recorded. It's on YouTube, and I went through the various different opinions. The bottom line is, I don't want to say this because there are some rabbis who don't agree, but you could brush your teeth on Shabbos, but you're going to be using your chametz toothbrush, and ordinarily, even if you're of the opinion that you're allowed to brush your teeth on Shabbos, you're not allowed to clean the toothbrush after you're done cleaning your teeth, because that would be preparing for tomorrow. But today, because it's a mitzvah to get rid of that chametz, so you have to brush your teeth with your chametz brush, and then clean out that brush, and then put that brush together with the stuff that's being sold. Yeah. Or someone suggested you can throw it in the sewer. Yeah, you can throw the stuff down the sewer as well. Same thing as a toilet. Yeah. But the toothbrush, if it's washed out, if there's no actual pieces of chametz on it, then you can put it into the closet, which is being sold. That you could do.
So even if it has chametz on it, though, why can't you put that in your chametz closet? I mean,
because that wasn't part of the sale.
Oh, it wasn't part of the sale.
Because the sale happened already Friday.
Right.
Right. Which is why the rest of your pita you're throwing down the toilet. But the toothbrush is a keli. It's not exactly a chametz itself, so that you can put it in the cabinet with the chametz stuff. Any other questions?
you have to bench after the bread, like even though you know you're going to be sitting down for a meal, like you're washing for bread.
It's recommended to do that. Yeah, it's recommended to do that, and I'll tell you why. Especially Shabbos day, because when you ordinarily make a wash and you make a bracha challah, and it covers all the food of the rest of your meal, so you don't make a bracha on it, right? Because the challah is like the center of the meal. But in this case, especially Shabbos day, where you're making a declaration of rendering your chametz ownerless, then it would be very awkward to say that the bracha you made on your challah is extending to the food that you're now eating when you got rid of the challah, right? So it becomes a complicated issue of which brachas you should make and which ones you shouldn't make, in terms of like should I make a shakal or not. So that's why it's best to actually wash, bench, and that's your official Shabbos meal, and then you're sitting down for lunch later, challah or whatever it is.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the same thing is true of Friday night as well.
Question.
Yeah.
When is lunch Shabbos day?
So the challah again is before 10:26, but lunch is whenever you want.
Whenever you want. Anytime.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. Too late in the afternoon, you shouldn't do it because you're not supposed to come to the seder with a full stomach. So not too late.
So post mincha, pre mincha.
No, before mincha for sure.
Before mincha,
right after you do the declaration of getting rid of the chametz, you can sit down 11:30, 12 o'clock.
10:26 and mincha.
No, mincha is in the afternoon.
It's at 1:30.
Right.
No.
Is that what they said? Mincha is 1:30.
I think it's an early mincha. I'm not sure.
An early mincha. I don't know if it has to be 1:30 though.
Okay. So okay.
It's early mincha, but not that early.
I think that's what the rabbi wrote in his notes.
Yeah. Okay. So it could be 1:30. So then before 1:30, it'd be mincha. If we do lunch.
Right, because if you go after 1:30, by the time you get home, it's like
it's close to it's getting close. Yeah, it's pushing closer already.
That was my technical question.
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
Well, yeah. So you can bench before, you can do whatever you want. Then you can actually have your lunch anytime after that.
Exactly.
Exactly. Unless mincha is later, then at that point it doesn't matter. So I don't know what it's called.
I don't know what the mincha. I didn't see that he noticed that he said mincha was 1:30 on Shabbos, but
he said it's a traditional thing to do that. So I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, that would
definitely the early mincha. You have to have the early mincha because you need to finish the Haggadah and Korban Pesach before Shkia, before sunset.
Right. Well, Shkia is pretty late.
Yeah.
So I mean, 1:30 is very early in that sense.
Yeah. 1981. You have a long Shabbos afternoon. Once it's done, you have no preparations to make for the seder. You prepared everything on Friday. You have a long Shabbos afternoon.
Right.
So it's there was 1981. They held the Farbrengen on Shabbos before the seder, EREV Pesach, and of course you can't have challah, you can't have matzah, and you're not supposed to drink wine either. So the Rabbi said l'chaim on water, and bananas was the menu for the Farbrengen. Shabbos afternoon on 1981, EREV Pesach.
So really, if you're having lunch, it depends when mincha is really based.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any other questions before we close up?
Very good.
Yes, I have a question, Rabbi.
Yeah, go
ahead. What time would Shachris be on Shabbos?
7:30.
Either 7 or 7:30. 7:30 it is.
I don't know. It's a wild guess, but
7:30 somewhere there.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you all for joining. Have a good night. And
hold on 1 second.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
So there's only one minyan for everybody, men and women, 7:30.
Yeah, but God willing, they're going to be changing the rules and allow for more people. That's what they told us. So
for this Shabbos?
No, they're changing the rules going forward.
As of the 26th.
As the 26th.
So from the 26th, so
that's the Shabbos already.
Oh, that's it. So now. That's what I mean. Do we have to do reservation again? And
I think we'll still have to do reservation again. The logistics department at MTC is very good. They're very good at it, and I don't know exactly. But
okay, so you'll give us an update, right?
Yeah, you'll get email about that for sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so someone asked about seder shlishit and eating fruit. Yeah, you could do that, but others that want to wash specifically. But there are those that will have fruit for the seder shlishit, yes. That's the Chabad custom, actually. Just to have some fruit or something else, water even, for seder shlishit. Okay, have a good night, everybody. Happy and kosher Pesach. And
you too.
I think most of you have my number, and if there's questions, please feel free. Have a good night.